This is Carrie Johnson with the Iowa Department of Management, and the purpose of this training session is to provide county auditors and their staff assistance with the submission of the 2024 property valuations to the Department of Management's online application. This is part 2 of the training webinars, and this one is going to specifically talk about working with tax districts in the online system. So before any data is uploaded into the online Department of Management system, there needs to be effort made to add or delete any taxing districts from the 2024 year. So when DOM opens the valuation system, the tax districts from the prior year are copied over to the new year. So the tax districts that you had in 2023 are copied over for 2024. In any given year, you may need to add or delete tax districts. They may change from year to year. So those types of changes of tax districts need to be done before you attempt to upload a file from your software into our online system, because obviously those tax districts that are in your in your file from your local software need to match the tax districts as listed in our online system. So when adding tax districts, there are uniform naming conventions that we ask that you use. And the reason why we do this is to create consistency as one looks from one county to another at the tax district names. So pretty simple things like using city after the name of a city after the city's name if it's a city ag land district, SCH after school, TWP after township, etc. And for any sort of TIF districts, when you create the base district, you would want to have the name of the area followed by TIF base, if it's a base district, or TIF increment at the end of the tax district name if it's an increment district. This, again, is not something you need to memorize here. There are examples listed in your instruction documents. Anytime you create a tax district, you need to make sure that the appropriate levy authorities or taxing bodies are associated with that particular tax district. In some cases, the system's going to do that work for you. So if you're creating a TIF base and increment pair, the online system associates the levy authorities that are found with the selected parent tax district when creating a TIF base district. So the system is going to ask you, okay, creating a TIF district, what is the parent of this district? Or essentially, in what tax district is this TIF occurring? And you'll select it from, drop down listing of the TIF districts, or excuse me, the tax districts in your county. So it will do the work then of saying, okay, well, the levy authorities for that tax district then are this school, this city, this county, etc. It does associate those base district levy authorities that are authorized to levy debt service with the TIF increment district then. So your school, your county, your city, those entities that are able to tax directly against that incremental value that are found in that parent district get associated with that increment district. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about creating TIF increment and base districts. That is actually covered in the section that talks more specifically about TIF. But I would say just kind of be aware, additions to TIF areas, amendments, that sort of thing, new projects are often reasons why you have to create tax districts at the end of the day. City exempt, if you have a city exempt situation, and that's basically when there's an annexation, so a city annexes some property right along its boundaries, and the city phases in for those people in those property owners in that annexed area. They kind of phase them in to the city rate by just taxing a portion or a percentage of their value at the full city rate and a percentage of their value at the consolidated rate without the city tax rate within it. So it sort of phases them in over time to paying that full city rate. So in the specific situations where you might have this, there is a city tax district type called city exempt, and it'll walk you through the process to determine what is needed as far as levy authorities. Schools only tax district, just to talk briefly about this. In the 2023 session of the General Assembly, House File 718 passed, and it did change urban revitalization programs under Code of Iowa 404. City or county urban revitalization programs, when they are adopted, they typically provide a sliding scale of property tax exemption for those properties covered by the program. So, for instance, a certain percentage of value is taxed over a number of years until it gets to the full value being taxed. So, House File 718 then went on to state that when the programs include residential property, so when this is a housing urban revitalization program, the school tax rate would still apply to the exempted value, even though all the other parts of the consolidated rate wouldn't apply. So this is something that's sort of, coming down the pike for us. The change didn't implement until July 1 of 2024. But for valuation purposes, what this really means is that in assessment year 2025, this is when we're going to see these types of tax districts come onto the tax rolls. And so big picture, we're going to be dealing with this next year. It'll be something that we'll provide more information and training on. There will be a tax district wizard to help you walk through that process, and there'll be a schools only flag for the valuation that's subject to the school tax rate only. So just sort of be aware it is coming, but for the submission of the 2024 values, it's not something that you will need to deal with. So just to take a look then at the tax district screen overview, this is sort of what you see in general. You see that you can edit a tax district, you can manage associations, and you can delete a tax district. So if we click on this option to edit a tax district, you can see right there, there's a couple different things you can do. One of the main purposes for editing a tax district is to make updates to the names of the tax district. So to kind of clean up some name changes that need to be clarified, that sort of thing. Another big reason why you might be editing taxing district names is for school consolidations when the school names change and the tax district needs to reflect a consolidated school name. It's a pretty common reason why you would edit the names, and it's pretty simple. If you select edit, you can see that you can type right into that tax district name. Another reason for editing tax districts is to actually edit the value in that particular tax district. Say you have a very small one tax district valuation correction that you need to make, you can pull up that particular tax district, edit, and go into those valuation by class number fields, 100% taxable, and actually edit those changes directly to the tax district. Anytime you make either of those types of changes to a tax district, you would then select save. You can also manage associations of a tax district, and that would be by selecting this green branch. And again, when we talk about associations, we're just basically saying, okay, in this tax district, in this geographic taxing area, which levy authorities are taxing against that value. So what this shows you, if we look at the associations with the particular tax district, for example, it shows you the different levy authority types, the levy authority names, and you can assign or unassign those particular taxing entities to that tax district. A reason why, again, you might have some association changes would be again, some school consolidations. Those might need to be switched around as a school may dissolve, and those property owners in that particular tax district may be going to another school levy authority, that sort of thing. But it's pretty simple, straightforward. You unassign, and then in order to assign someone different, you go into the search, you start typing the name of whatever that levy authority is, and it'll start populating some potential options for what you're typing, and you click the plus to assign it. So you can see right there, you're assigning it, and it's telling you that you assigned this then school to this particular tax district. Well, you're showing here you've got 2 schools assigned, which is not an option, so you'd have to then unassign the other school. It would give you sort of the pop-up box to confirm. Are you sure you want to unassign that? Yes. And then that will leave you then with just the 1 school assigned. Another reason why we do some of those types of associations, maybe, changing some of those split townships. It could be a number of different reasons, or even a new levy authority, that sort of thing. So there could be a number of reasons why a tax district may or may not have some changes in who's taxing against it. You also can delete taxing districts. You can see the little garbage can here. You'd select it. But if you just go right into trying to delete a tax district, it will tell you that you can't delete a tax district that has levy authorities associated with it. And the reason being is that it just wants you to make sure to determine that that tax district is absolutely of no more use. So it's going to ask you to unassign any levy authorities that are currently assigned to it. So then to unassign, again, you go back to that Manage Tax District Levy Authority Associations. You would click through and unassign the different levy authorities and kind of work your way through that until no one is assigned with it overall. And then you could go back to that tax district, click that trash can. It'll give you the option or the confirmation notification, making sure that you do want to delete the tax district, and you would select yes. And it would give you a notification then that that tax district has been successfully deleted. And one thing I do want to point out too, when you delete a tax district or anything for that matter, you're deleting it from the year that you're working in. So a deletion that happens, as you're working this winter in the system would be a deletion for the assessment year 2024. It does not impact any historical information or the existence of that tax district, in 2023 or earlier. So you're really just impacting this 2024 year if you take that action to delete or add, etc. Okay, so if we want to talk about adding tax districts, we talked about the kind that you do that the system kind of works with you. So there's those, and there may be also reasons why you're adding tax districts that are not TIF related or city exempt related that will require you to take a few more steps. So to add a tax district, you'd go to the tax district options, of course, over on that left-hand navigation, and you'd select add a tax district. So if we were going to do that city exempt example, so there's an annexation, the city, annexed some property outside its city limits and is bringing those folks in, those property owners in at sort of a sliding scale or incremental scale to the final full city tax rate. You would need to create some city exempt district or districts. So if you start, it's going to instruct you here just a few things. It will help you with adding tax districts, and it will do some of the work for you with managing associations, tax district and levy authority associations, if it's a particular type of tax district. So to go ahead and jump into the wizard, you click next. Basic information will be populated. So obviously we know we're dealing with this particular county. It's going to populate for you the next available tax district number. So you'd want to be sure to take note of that so you can match that tax district number with the data that you're uploading from your software. You can change what this tax district number is, but I do recommend that you typically just use whatever the next number is that is available that's populating. You would enter in here your tax district name and the property type. Well, this is a city exempt district, within a city, so it is obviously an urban district, and we click next. So we did say this is a city exempt district, and so it's going to say, well, where is this happening? What city tax district is this actually occurring in? So we would say, okay, well, these folks are going to be part of Atlantic City Atlantic School as part of the city. So we'd select the parent district that they're moving into. In this case, it's not TIF related, it's just simply a city exempt district. So we click non-TIF related and next. And then this tells you just a real brief summary of what you just created. So to confirm it, you do a create. And then it goes ahead and associates, like I mentioned earlier, the levy authorities that were in that parent district that you chose. So at that point, as far as setting up the district, your work is done in the online system. So if you're creating a non-TIF, non-city exempt taxing district, it starts out the same, but it doesn't select those levy authorities for you. So you create the tax district and you have to manually go out and assign those levy authorities. So you'd go to add a tax district and it starts out very similarly. Again, gives you a little bit of background. You select next. And so we're saying, okay, well, this is a new tax district in an urban area. And so it's, this county's populated for you. Again, it's going to populate the next available tax district number, and you need to enter the tax district name based on the uniform naming conventions that are found in the instructions. And because this is an urban tax district, obviously the property type is urban. So select next. It's non-TIF related, so you do next. And then again, just a brief review of what you just created. So you'd want to take a look at that. Cancel it if it's not, doesn't look correct, but if it does, then go ahead and create. And it's going to say, okay, well, you created this tax district, but levy authority relationships were not added. You're going to have to do that manually on the next screen. So you'd go here and you'd go and it would take you to manage tax districts to levy authorities. So in any tax district, there are certain levy authorities that are always going to be there. So in any tax district, it's going to have a county, it's going to have a school, an ag extension, an assessor, and a community college. Since this is an urban tax district, it's going to have a city. If it was a rural tax district, it would have a township. So we know we have to, for this urban tax district, make associations, all these associations at a minimum. So you just kind of go through and start, okay, well, we know this is Wapello County, and we kind of work our way through it. What the system won't tell you is sort of some of those optional levy authorities that aren't required to be in a tax district, but might be. So, for example, there's about 40 or so counties that have a county hospital. So if you're in one of those counties and you create a tax district, you need to make sure that you remember that the county hospital is also going to be taxing in that tax district. Another county over, they don't have a county hospital. They don't need to make that association, but you would because you have a county hospital. If you do forget one of those required levy authority assignments, so a school, city, or township, etc., you'll get an error when you run your errors checks. And so having an error prevents you from being able to file your values. So it will tell you which tax district has the problem. You go, back to that tax district association, plug in the name that you need to associate, and do that for you. So in this case, we forgot our community college, so we can go in, search Indian Hills Community College and assign it to that tax district. If you have any questions as you're working with tax districts in the system, please feel free to call me via phone or email.